Hey everyone, it is great to see you all again. If I were to ask you what the single most important thing in photography is, no matter what genre, excluding having a camera that takes photos, what would you say? Now you may say that having an interesting subject or dramatic location may be the most important thing to capture an incredible photo. However, I would argue that there is one thing that would trump both of those things and anything else you can come up with. Something that can ruin what would otherwise be a best-selling photo, or something that could take a normal, boring scene and make it something that catches people's attention. And what I'm talking about is light, more specifically being able to adapt to the lighting conditions you are given. So in today's video, we are going to explore a few ways that you are able to use light to your advantage rather than just not going out if the lighting conditions aren't good. And stick around to the end where I will show you what this scene looked like before the light hit it. I hope you all enjoy. My name is Jalen Oban. I'm a landscape photographer and educator based in the Pacific Northwest. I create weekly videos giving you photo tips or taking you with me on location to give you a behind-the-scenes look at what I do. If you enjoy the content, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a like and subscribe. As photographers, of course, we dream about the day that we go out for a photography journey. We get to a location, set up our tripod, and wait for a sunset. As we sit there, clouds start to roll in, and out of nowhere, the sky explodes into a fiery orange glow. But let's be real, most of the time that just does not happen. And because we can't count on that every time we go out and shoot, sometimes it can be hard to get off the couch and go shooting in the first place if the lighting conditions aren't in our favor. So being able to adjust and adapt to any lighting conditions can be extremely important. And knowing what to look for depending on the lighting situation you are in is one of those techniques that can help you be more confident. For example, I spent an entire week in the beautiful Yosemite National Park not too long ago, and the forecast the entire week was bright blue sunny skies. Now, was I hoping for some dramatic clouds to roll in or fog to cake the valley? Of course. However, with bright sunny days, I knew that there was a chance to capture some rainbows in the many waterfalls around the park. So I planned out a time that I knew this event could occur when the sun was behind me and the waterfall was directly in front of me, and I went out to shoot. Here's what I captured. Now, if I would have just sat at the campground waiting for the lighting or weather to get better, I would have never even had a chance to get this photo. Another example of this was on my recent hike to Ramona Falls in Oregon. I spent multiple hours waiting at the falls for the light to change, and as I did, I adapted to how it presented itself. Doing this, I was able to capture one of my favorite collections of photos to date. Some where the sprinkle of light was casting a spotlight on certain parts of the falls, and others where a rainbow spectrum began to appear in the water. And you may notice one commonality between all of the photos that I've shown you so far, and that happens to be one of the biggest ways you're able to adapt and shoot in any lighting condition. This is something that I've brought up in multiple videos by now, and that is to use a telephoto lens like a 100-400 or a 70-200 to zoom in and capture the specific details in the scene instead of the wide angle photo. Say you don't have a massive dramatic landscape in front of you, but there are sparse bits of light around your scene. Using a telephoto lens allows you to be less condition dependent and zoom in on those little points to capture something that you're really proud of. Like this image, for example, where the harsh light actually helped bring out the shadows and depth in the water and the leaves. Setting yourself up or finding a composition that works well with the scenes that you're given is also another option. Like me in Yosemite, if you're having a boring blue sky day, try finding a composition that doesn't have much sky or uses that blue in the sky to your advantage and fits the scene. This can be a great exercise, especially when trying to expand your creativity. Take these images, for example, where the blue sky and light clouds really add to the simplicity and match the scene quite nicely. But what if you have too little or too much light? Let's talk about the low end first, as in shooting in low light. There are a few ways to combat this. Essentially, what we need to do is get more light onto your sensor. One way to achieve crisp, sharp images with minimal noise is to use a lens with a wider aperture or a low f-stop number. The aperture is the opening in your lens through which light passes to enter the camera. A wide aperture, represented by a low f-stop number like f1.4 or 2.8, allows more light to hit the sensor. By opening the aperture wider, you can gather more light, which is crucial in low light settings. This also creates a shallower depth of field, which can beautifully isolate your subject from the background. However, when using a wider aperture, be mindful of your focus point, as the shallow depth of field means less of your image is going to be in sharp focus. In a landscape setting, you're able to use a technique called focus stacking, which allows you to achieve sharp focus throughout your scene, even when using a wider aperture. If you'd like to learn more about this technique, I do have an in-depth video of what exactly it is and how to do it. So I'll have that linked up above if you're interested in watching that. Next, try incorporating an external flash or LED light to increase the luminance on your subject. External lighting includes tools like flashes, strobes, or continuous LED lights to add light on your scene. Adding external light sources is one of the most effective ways to combat low light. A flash can provide a powerful burst of light, while continuous lights give you a constant illumination, making it easier to adjust your settings. When using a flash, consider bouncing it off walls or ceilings to soften the light and avoid harsh shadows. Diffusers can also help create more natural lighting. But what if you're shooting a moving subject or something that you can't control, like wildlife? Raising your ISO may be the option for you. ISO controls the camera's sensitivity to light, meaning a higher ISO makes the sensor more sensitive, allowing it to capture more light in dark environments. Think of it like gain on a speaker. Increasing your ISO is the quick way to brighten your photos when the light is scarce. Modern cameras handle high ISO settings better, but it's important to find a balance, as very high ISO can introduce noise into your images. Start with the lowest ISO that gives you a well-exposed image, and then use noise reduction tools in post-processing if necessary. But when talking about the other end of the spectrum, when you have too much light, using the opposite techniques will yield better results. So now that you know what to keep in mind and what to look out for, get out there and start shooting. Remember, you can't get a photo that you like if you don't try in the first place. Like this scene, for example. If I was only looking at the incredible waterfall in front of me, I would have missed the brief section of beautiful light that trickled down the wall, almost creating little villages of light on the rocks. Using my telephoto lens, I was able to pick out different bursts of light to create these images. Make sure to always stay on your toes and look around when you're on any photography journey. But I hope you all learned something from this week's video. If you didn't already know, I started a Discord server for the entire community to come together, share photos, and give feedback. And then at the end of every month, I'll be selecting one of your photos to feature in the Discord server as a monthly contest winner. Other than that, if you could subscribe to my weekly newsletter for weekly updates, and then for vlog, blog, and other video updates, if you can like and follow my Facebook page. But other than that, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.